Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
All right, so we're going to try this all over again. Hey, there's no one at the door. You got him all worked up. All right, so this is little Larry. He's a guard dog. I know, buddy. Yeah, did you get him? Did you scare him away? Yeah. They're not coming anywhere close to us. You do such a good job. So this is little Larry. He's 3 pounds of terror. Isn't he cute, though? I know. You done? Yeah? You want a little more? You go get him? No, okay. We're going to let him go get him. All right, that was little Larry. He was trying to get his debut last night, but my internet decided to die on me. So I got coax cable en route to try to resolve the problem. Now, right now it's working. Fingers crossed it stays that way. So if it drops in the middle of this, they may have disconnected the line when they found the problem. I'm not sure. So we'll let them do their technical analysis. I'm just glad to be up and running again. Very disappointed, of course, last night because I was all geared up. I prepared like an hour and a half for you. The show was going to show you all kinds of stuff. I was really excited. And then that all went to hell in a handbasket. So anyway, so glad you're here. Thanks for the stars. I already see a bunch of you are throwing me some love here for lunchtime. I call it lunchtime love. How about that? Or maybe you're just throwing stars for Larry. I can go with that. Let's take a look at your weather conditions. So first things first, I typically write a blog once a week on Sundays. It's usually in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. I try to make the blog good for an entire week. In other words, I put enough effort into it where I don't have to change the forecast every day because I don't want to do that. First off, it makes me look bad. Secondly, that means I'm not putting enough into it, right? So that's always my goal. Now, sometimes that doesn't work out in very complicated patterns, but in others, it does just fine. Now, this week was interesting. So I wrote on here, first off, reinforcing shots of cold air will invade every couple of days. As we head later into the period, we will usually see a little bit of light snow get squeezed out of the sky in this pattern. At the beginning, expect freezing drizzle off and on through midweek. And this can cause a problem near your roadways, bridges, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that explains why you're seeing snow here for a Thursday, and maybe a little bit more for our Friday, and why we saw freezing drizzle earlier on. Because what happens is, eventually you get enough Arctic in here that replaces the old, and that squeezes out that moisture and dries it out a little bit more. So the what would be freezing drizzle kind of crystallizes into little snowflakes. So you end up getting a little bit of light dusting of snow. So that's what's going on up there right now. That's typical in this type of a pattern. So that's what was in the forecast long term. All right, now down south in Dallas last night was I was trying to get the warning out for Dallas. Watch this little number here. So somebody shared this with me on Facebook today. So this is what happened early in the morning. If you watch carefully, you can see how these vehicles going about 60 miles an hour, and they're just slammed into each other as they come up on these bridges. So I knew this would be a huge problem for Dallas-Fort Worth, and they had a couple of hundredths of freezing drizzle. That's all it took, and you got total mayhem. I would not want to be in that situation, my goodness. Here's a look at how daylight showed. So again, this is in Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, severe injuries in this particular cases. Usually you're going to have loss of life. At this point in time during this broadcast, about an hour ago, they had said 5 had lost their lives, but you can see why. So this is why we spent a lot of time and effort to warn you about something that may sound not a big deal, like a little drizzle. Because this time of the year, this is what it can do. So that was down in Dallas-Fort Worth overnight and this morning, and fortunately, forecast came true in that aspect, and that's not good. Now, there is more going on down there, believe it or not. This is a kind of a big view of this region, and I'll zoom in to this area. So there's a lot of ice happening right now, freezing rain in central Texas, and that is drifting northwards, you can see, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So they're going to get more of that light freezing rain and freezing drizzle here for today, causing more road accidents, etc., coming in from the south. So a big mess down there in the central and north Texas for the remainder of today until this wave moves through tonight. Now, here in Oklahoma, we see all these little plus signs over here on the map. All those little locations, that's all snow. So we got a lot of light snow in here, and that's what these light radar reflectivities are showing. So here's a close-up view, for example, of Oklahoma City. And you can see the light blue. And if I animate this, you can see how it just kind of streams. These little streamers come in from north to south on a north wind, and those are just carrying little ribbons of snow. And a lot of times in this case, you can get some lake effect snow, some good lakes. You might get a little heavier pockets of snow, and that's going to be a period of concern or of excitement or joy, whatever, in the extended. And I'm going to talk about that here as well in a second. So a lot to cover here for our lunchtime live. So thanks for joining me. Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. You already saw Larry. If you tuned in late, you missed little Larry. He was busy. I interrupted his guard dogging. We may bring it back out again tonight, though, assuming I get some more internet. I need me some more Wi-Fi. All right, so here's a look at the National Weather Service outlook for Sunday and Monday with snowfall totals. So you're wondering, is it really going to snow a foot of snow? Well, this is what the Weather Service is saying over a very large area of Oklahoma. Now, is this going to pan out? Could we get more? Could we get less? Well, let's dive into it and find out. So, obviously on the sounding, we're still saturated, even more so. So cloud cover's not going anywhere. The little light precipitation we have is not going anywhere. Even down into Dallas-Fort Worth, here was their sounding this morning. Same thing. This is a freezing rain sounding. So even the sounding itself says so. Freezing rain. And that's because of this complete saturation, this very thick column. So that's bad news for those folks. But that's the way it goes. Now, if you look at the little echoes on the ASOS observations for all the weather stations here across Kansas, temperatures are in the single digits and teens. Here in Oklahoma, we've got teens and low 20s way down south. And you can see the bulk of these equal signs, which is the freezing rain and freezing drizzle, continues down here in the far southern southeastern Oklahoma and then on into North Texas. So we're kind of drying things out just by hair, only because the temperature and the dew point are separating a little bit more. So what does that look like? Like this, for example. It's 18 degree temperature. The dew point's 14 here in Logan County and Guthrie. So that's a 4-degree difference. So if it were 18 over 18 or 18 over 17, we'd have freezing drizzle again. But because we're just a couple of degrees drier, makes all the difference in the world. But I would rather deal with light snow than freezing drizzle for sure. Ground temperatures continue to be either at or slightly above freezing, so they will not help us with any future precipitation events. In other words, whatever falls from the sky is going to be here a while. Now, this is unusual. Remember, this isn't normal for Oklahoma. So does that mean you might want to run to the store and grab you some milk and bread? You may want to. This is one of those deals because it's not going to melt the next day. Now, on my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com, I'll sell my free weather app, AT's Weather to Go. There is a data tab on there for Oklahoma road conditions. It does show you the snow routes, so that's going to become a factor. So this will show you how you can get around town a little easier, where the cities will take care of it. If we look across the entire state, you can see where it's clear, moderate, closed, severe, all that kind of stuff. And right now there are some slow streets, looks like here in northeast Oklahoma a little bit. You can click on any of these pictures, as we talked about before, and see what an actual truck or somebody driving around looks like. Here's a snowplow. That's a front end picture of his as he's driving around, so he's got some snow covered roads up there that they're treating. All right, we scroll down southward from that on into the next graphic, and that's around Oklahoma City, for example. Shows you traffic moving along, and you can pick on these little traffic cameras and see as well. So this is a very great, important tool to use when you must do some travel in this type of weather. Now, when's our next big round of precipitation? This is a look at a plot for some of the ensemble high-res models. It does indicate a little signature for tomorrow morning, late tonight, more of those little snow flurry activity here in central Oklahoma. But if you focus on the 14th, Again, the 14th, so it's Valentine's Day on Sunday, you see this ramp up toward the end of the day. That is the approachment of our next storm system. And this has, by the end of the day, about an inch of snow in a lot of these little outputs. But that's just the beginning. The storm's coming in during the day, and it'll be heavier at night and on a Monday. And we're going to show you what that looks like. So here is this is a look, I believe, at the European. And it's different ensemble runs. Now, I'm going to, let's see, scoot this over so you can see the legend. See the legend here, focus on the yellow and orange. That's from 6 to 12 inches. If you see the orange, yeah, okay, let's do this again, Aaron. Yellow and dirty yellow, let's do it that way. That's between 6 and 12 inches. If you get to the orange, it's between 12 and 18. If it's red, it's over 18 inches of snow. All right, we all capiche on that? Okay, so now let me go through some of these outputs of the model here from the European, and then we're going to see how things look. This is goes through Monday morning. So there's the European control run, and then here we go, a lot of its ensembles. And you can see a lot of yellow, especially kind of focused on the central and western parts of the state. There's one that went out of control. So that would be an outlier, likely not to pan out. But you can see the majority of them have a lot of blue, no problem. So in other words, 6 inches of snow isn't even a question. And then it's got a lot of those in the yellow, so up around the 8-inch mark. As we keep going with the GFS, the American model, it has kind of a similar type deal. A lot of consistency with blue, and several of its panels in the orange and yellow. So up to around a foot of snow, no problem. The Canadian is the dry model. Doesn't have much to do, about nothing. It's pretty lame, and it's the only model that's really, most of its members says, nothing really talk about. Interesting. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the residual ice that's expected here for today. Down south into Texas. This will be an addition to what's already fallen, and then we'll go through the weekend through Sunday afternoon. You can see how the ice is shifting southward now into northern Louisiana, the rest of central and deep south central Texas. So this is a bona fide ice storm for them, 3/4 of an inch. They'll have a lot of power outages down here. Dallas obviously still getting some ice today, probably up to about another 1/10 of an inch some areas. So that's going to cause more travel problems. Now, let's focus on the snow. All right, let's get back to our original graphic from the National Weather Service. Are we going to get that 12 inches of snow? Well, it's very important we discuss snow ratios, and you may not hear this much. Typically, in this part of the country, we average a snow ratio of 10 to 1. That means 10 parts to 1 part. If you were to do any type of mixing on your own, where you add ingredients, say like, for example, you can do a little bleach water. 1 part bleach to 10 parts water. It's that kind of deal, right? So it's a ratio. Now, in this particular case, we're talking about the liquid in the sky. If you were to let all of it fall in the form of rain, and so you get an inch of rain, when you freeze that and you transform it into snow, 1 inch of rain equals 10 inches of snow. Very easy, very simple formula. The problem is that formula goes out the window for this last column notification here, which deep cold leads to higher snow ratios, meaning drier Arctic air. So how does that look? Let's give you a couple of examples. Do a little math quiz here for your lunchtime. All right, so scenario 1, at a 10 to 1 ratio, if we had 1/4 of an inch of precipitation, we're looking at 2.5 inches of snow. Not bad. Now, scenario 2, let's say it's really dry out there, the Arctic air is really deep. How about 20 to 1 ratio? So we're looking at 5 inches. So you have to multiply 20 times the QPF, the qualitative precipitation forecast. In other words, the liquid equivalent. Now, if we go to scenario 3 with 1/2 inch of water, that transforms to either 5 inches of snow, or if we're to 20 to 1, goes to 10 inches of snow. This is going to be very important. I'm going to show you why, and why things could get very interesting. The take home from this map I want to show you is that a 20 to 1 ratio occurs when you have temperatures around 15 to 19 degrees. That's how you start to get those higher ratios. Here's if it goes even higher than that, or I should say lower as far as temperatures go, into the single digits, your snow ratio could approach 30 to 1. But listen, we're going to be down around this 12 degrees, so I would not be surprised to see some 25 to 1 snow ratios here across Oklahoma. And that, my friends, is going to dump some serious snow. Here's something else. lakes, big bodies of water. You will get lake effect snow in this pattern. So here's an example of kind of what they take away from up north. 1 inch of water equivalent could end up being 20 to 30 inches of snow. Remember, that's that higher equivalent of the 20 to maybe even 30 snow ratio. And so someone in Oklahoma on the south end of these lakes, where the wind on this opposite side, where the wind goes over the warm body of water, pseudo warm, right? Hadn't quite frozen over yet. You are going to get a dumpage downwind of about maybe half a mile away, and you may break state records. All right. Now the weight of the snow, of dry snow, that's that fluffy snow. All right. So here's kind of an example how that breaks down. If you had 15-to-1 ratio, very, very fluffy, very dry. You can't make a snowball with it, can't build a snowman. The weight of it, not much. If you had a normal snow we normally do around here, when our temperature in the atmosphere is about 28 to 30 degrees, like we normally see, that's a pretty good snow. Weighs pretty good. Now, if we had a really wet snow, 5-to-1 ratio, it'd be like having 3 trucks on your roof. That's 18,000 pounds. But the good news is our roofs can withstand 20 pounds per square feet. So you're not in danger of even to go and shovel snow off your roof. All right, that's a misnomer. Now, you have to have liquid precipitation for this to really do something for us, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show 2 maps. The first one is precipitable water. Don't show this hardly ever. This is just a tool we use behind the scenes. Precipitable water is how much water is in the total column of the atmosphere, from where we live to the edge of space. And you have to see if we have any to really get good rainfall amounts, or in this case, snow. So we're going to focus on this batch of green. I mean, that's stinking moist down here in the Gulf of Mexico and southeast Texas, and that's why they're getting that heavy freezing rain. Here in Oklahoma, we have this brown area. That's average for us. It's enough to squeeze out some stuff. It's not overly aggressive, but it'll do. It's one of those, it's not bad. So as we go through time, watch how we kind of get stuffed with the brown over the weekend. Here's Saturday. Starts to get some of that light brown color, and on Sunday it blossoms up to a brighter brown color, which is about just a little over half an inch of water equivalent. As we head on into Monday morning, it starts to dry out, get the gray colors in here. It means we're drawing out the atmosphere. It means it's over. There's no moisture left in the atmosphere. Then it resurges Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and there's some purple that sneaks in. That's about 7/10 or so, even southeast Oklahoma, up to about an inch of precipitable water. And then that dries out, looks like by Thursday lunchtime, and that's over. So by Thursday afternoon, it's all moving out of the state. Okay, so we do have some decent moisture this time of year to work with. Now, how do I know that's decent? Well, we can look. The models will tell us if we compare historically. Thankfully, they can go back in the archives, and they can tell us what percent of normal that is for our region. And then we can see, what our odds are of seeing some decent precipitation. Okay, so on Saturday, we're in the light green. Light green is 100%. All right, that's flat out 100% normal. And that's on Sunday as well. So that should give us some decent precipitation. Now in the winter time, decent precipitation is about 1/2 inch of rainfall. All right, so we're going to use that as a gold standard. Now as we head into Wednesday, Tuesday night to Wednesday, you see that dark green that moves on by? That's about 150% of normal. Whoa, buddy. Now, you factor that in with that dry Arctic air in place, with those ratios of maybe 25-to-1. What could happen? Well, let's see. All right, so we're going to pick the GFS model. I wanted to give you the absolute worst case scenario to explain why the snow ratio is important. Okay, so what we're going to do is look at the amount of liquid water, as though it was rain, right? So over the weekend, here's Sunday afternoon into Monday morning. This model, by the time the storm system wraps up, is dumping about 0.8 of an inch of liquid. Now, do I think that's correct? I actually think it's a little too high. But for the sake of this purpose, this argument, we're going to say the model's perfect. We're going to get 0.8 of an inch of rain if it were, springtime. It's wintertime though, so this is liquid equivalent. So we have to convert that into snow. Are we going to use 10 to 1 ratio? Or are we going to use 20 to 1 ratio? If we use 10 to 1 ratio, that's 8 inches of snow. So remember what the Weather Service graphic said, 8 to 12? All right, so they're going at least 10 to 1 ratio. If you go a 20, let's just say it's 20 for argument's sake. So we'll take a ratio of 20 times 0.8. That's 16 inches of snow. All right, that's a pretty wide swath just based off the snow ratio. Now, we're going to go forward in time from that one to the next round that moves in Tuesday night and Wednesday. What is this? 2.7? Now, is that doable? We're going to have a very strong return flow from 850 millibars. Warm air advection will occur at advance the next system. It's doable. Is it an outlier? Yes, but it's not off the table. Now, let me show you this. Where is it right? Where's my image? Did I not do my image? Let's do my image. Is this what I wanted? Yeah, this is what I wanted. Okay. This white line right here over the weekend into Monday goes, excuse me, not the white line, the blue line here. This little light blue line, turquoise. It's at this level, peaks. This line right here peaks with this number right here. You can barely see it. That says 25. That's a 25 to 1 snow ratio. You're going, what? Aaron, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm serious. It means this is the time we can get some really crazy record-breaking snow. Now, the ratio here is 20 to 1. So it goes over the weekend on Saturday from 20 to 1 to up to 25 into Monday morning to 25 to 1. Therefore, any of that light precipitation that does fall is going to be multiplied immensely. So we're going to get some really good snows out of this. Okay. So let's see what happens when we transform this liquid into actual snowfall. I have to laugh just because it's so ridiculous. Now, this is through Monday. Models around 13, 14 inches of snow for this first wave. Again, doable. But here's the deal. If you're going to say that we're going to have a 25 to 1, and the models are correct on their assertion of the precipitable water and the QPF output. In other words, the rain equivalent, 0.8 of an inch of rain. If we're going to say, as a meteorologist, I believe it, I think the model's right, we're going with that. Then you have to go with 14 inches of snow, all right? Now, nothing changes for the next system. It's the same except for we have a stronger warm air advection pattern, which means we have higher precipitable water, which means we have higher, what would be equivalent rainfall totals to around 2.7. Now, in the wintertime, that's an outlier that typically never happens, just so you know. But if we're going to say, the model knows what I don't know, that we really will get 2.7, then you have to go 40 inches of snow. You can't just half-step it and say, well, I'm just going to divide that by 2, because that's not how physics works. You're either all in or you're not. So we try to forecast snowfall totals. It's already hard enough. Doing it a week from now and trying to tell you how much in your backyard when you're in this type of environment, forget about it. So at this point in time, showing you maps like this, it gets you talking, it's excited, it's all for clicks, it's clickbait, gets you to watch. So when you see all the news guys do it, was it yesterday when they all did it? That was the purpose. Now, there is a caveat to that, and I will play devil's advocate. We'll stick with the weekend. The weekend is important. People do a lot of things on the weekend. They want to plan, they want to travel, and do things. That's when people do stuff on the weekends, right? So you want to get that information out as soon as possible. But we're talking about snowfall totals. Now, as a meteorologist, we know we can't predict those accurately that far out, but we're going to do it anyway. Why? Because you demand it. So that's the caveat as to we want to give as much information as possible. So let's give them the worst case scenario, and then we got time to change it and tune it as we get closer to the event. So that's the thought process. So it's not all evil. There is some good in that, but as a result, if it doesn't pan out, then it's all for naught. But it's the case where if you don't say anything and it's a foot of snow comes in, everybody goes, "Lucky me didn't say it's going to be a foot of snow. I could have prepared 5 days ago." Well, we're now on a entitlement era where we want our information, we want it now, and you tell me if it's a week from now, I want to know. So we do our best to appease that, and if you want to go that route, then here you go. We'll see 42.7 inches of snow, by Thursday of next week. accumulative. Crazy. It's just crazy. All right, now, all that said, let's tone it back to some reality. Because that's the extreme model. The rest of them aren't that gung-ho, just so you know. We'll look at its older version, its older cousin, its ensemble runs that run with it. And I want to show you a few things on here. So it does point out the fact on the 13th, in the morning of the 13th, a little bit of light snow. So I have that dusting of snow here for Saturday. But it does show the big system comes in Sunday during the day, peaks Sunday night into Monday morning, and then by Monday afternoon it's over. And that next round comes in as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, and then it's over by Thursday. So those are your peaks of your system. Now that's the QPF range. If we look at the actual QPF itself, it averages at about, over this 3-storm period, 1 inch. Now remember, 1 inch at a 10 to 1 is 10 inches of snow. This is a conservative look, which means you have to double that to 20 to 1. Remember? Or maybe even 25. We'll just say 20 to 1. We don't want to get too carried away. So that means our snowfall totals for this whole period is going to be at least 20 inches. And it's so hard to grasp your mind around that. But that's what the data shows. And if you want to argue with the data, fine. But you're going to have to come up with reasons as to why. I don't see any yet to argue with that, especially this far out. And as we get closer, we get some of those high-resolution models in, better look at the storm system coming off the west coast and all that, sure. That's how you fine-tune things, and you can raise amounts up and down. But what you have to work with, that's what we got. Let's see, what else I want to show you. Of course, the temperatures themselves. Let's do this. This one you can see a lot better. Assuming we have plenty of snow on the ground, we're looking at temperatures in the minus teens for Tuesday morning from this week, upcoming weekend. You can see how temperatures do progressively get colder during the day, and then next week they'll start to rebound. Now, these are all questionable in here and the extended that I've warned you about from the 19th onward, especially if we've got a snowpack on the ground. That changes things. Overnight lows are typically colder, and daytime highs won't warm up as much. Will stay cloudy. Arctic air does not get pushed out or moved out, does not get replaced by warm air. It just has to slowly modify, kind of erode with little over time. So don't focus too much on this warm-up trend, start getting excited. That'll be tapered off, could be delayed. We could have other intrusions come in the wake. So it's a long ways down the road, but I want to throw that out there for you so that you know. Temperatures, I didn't do that. Let me do that. And then, because I know everybody want to talk about the snow, and most of you already know what temperatures are going to do anyway. So it's kind of like, why bother? But we're going to look at, let's do the wind chill and see how that looks over time. So today, wind chill values in the teens, single digits coming in for tonight. Tomorrow morning for your Friday, single digits to below 0 at times in the morning. It'll be very, very cold. Make sure you bundle up. And the afternoon on Saturday, wind chill values in single digits and teens. On Sunday morning, negative numbers for most of the day. Matter of fact, the entire day. Into Monday, wind chill values in the negative teens. During the day, negative single digits. Tuesday morning, negative 20s to minus 30 wind chill values because of all that cold snowpack on the ground. And then we might even have like some blowing snow, like almost blizzard-like conditions briefly for some parts of the state on Sunday night and Monday morning as that system moves by. Just throwing that out there as well. And then as we go through time, you can see things, they're still cold, but they start to slowly moderate on into the extended, assuming that we do get that warm-up. So that was a look at that. And then some of this data I'm just now looking at on the fly, so the kid in me just wants to keep going and look at stuff. So this little system here, this little upper level low, it's coming in more compact, almost has more of a closed off bowling ball look to it, which is why we're getting a little extra kick out of this model for precipitation. That one moves on by, and here comes the next one on Wednesday night and a Thursday. That one's still got a little bit of open way, but it has a nice little dip to it, and that's why that's coming a little stronger. Let's go the European, see how it compares. So let's see, it's not going to be in far enough. It's just now coming in here at lunchtime. It's not as gung-ho with the thing on Monday, but the precipitation should be out. So let's take a look at that on the QPF for the European model. Hey, it's got 0.7, and this is through Monday morning, so it's not done. It has about another 6 hours left to add to this. So that 0.8 may not be out of the question. Remember, 0.8 times 20, we can be up 16 inches of snow according to that ratio. Let's see what the, and actually that's what I'm going to have to do. Let's see. No, that'll show it. Yeah, it'll show this. There we go. So yeah, there's at least a foot of snow here. And this is not even at the full 20-to-1 ratio. So if you're asking me, we're going to get a foot of snow, the answer is yes. Are we going to get more than that? I think we still could see a few spots that do get more than that. This is just for the first wave, and this is through Monday. All right. Then we still have the one that comes in the middle of next week, and that could be another half an inch or more of precipitable water factored in on top of it. So there goes another foot of snow. So that's how you can get 2 feet of snow back to back in Oklahoma. This is amazing. You guys have no idea how cool this is. You know, from my vantage point. I will do this as well. Let me show you 850. Let's see. This won't go in far enough. I'm going to go back to the GFS. And we're going to show you 850 millibars. And you're like, why? All right. So the reason why is because you have to pump in decent significant moisture for that secondary system. And Wednesday night, our trajectory from a few thousand feet off the ground is now coming in from the south. So that's tapping into some moisture coming in from Texas and a little bit from the Gulf of Mexico, and that comes in from Mexico itself. So what that does is that's a warm air advection pattern. And so as long as that happens, that boosts the precip output and allows us to get some heavier precipitation. So that's why I am confident that the one in the middle of next week is going to be a significant event for us, which could mean, again, if it's half an inch, it's a foot of snow. That easy. All right. That's it. You know everything. And you know why. You know the meteorology behind it. I told you what's involved in the guesswork, what we stretch reality to and what we can and can't do, what assumptions that we make, the ins and outs, all the stuff you see behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. This has been your Facebook Live lunch update for your Thursday. I appreciate all the stars. I glanced down and saw a few of them from time to time, so thank you for doing that. And check with me again tonight, assuming that I have internet access again. We're going to do it again about 9:15, and we'll see what's changed. We'll look at the latest snow output for the weekend. But again, Saturday, if you're doing any travel, it shouldn't be bad. It's just very light dusting. Not a big deal. It's the one that comes in on Valentine's Day. So if you're going to be out and about Valentine's Day, especially in the later afternoon periods, that's when things don't look to be very nice for you. So you might want to wrap things up by then. As far as getting things that you need around the house, obviously I'd go to the store today or tomorrow. The roads aren't that bad at this point around here. They're a little slippery from some of the snow, but they're not ice covered like they are down in Dallas. So you do have some time there to get prepared for this upcoming system. Just don't go all at once and run each other over at the store buying all the bread and milk, all right? But anyway, that's it for me, and we will talk again soon. Have a great day, everybody.